Mike from MotoIQ here, and you probably saw our last episode on our EP3 project that we're kind of renewing. It's kind of a unique crap box kind of car. You might have seen it on Hoonigans. We called it shit car then. You know, it's the car that everyone loves to hate around here. Like, we bought it for $500, and it's been putting up with a lack of care and abuse, and it's still like humming. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at Church Automotive Testing. We're dynoing some other cars, and just for fun, we put the car in the dyno, and it pumped out 144 wheel horsepower, which was pretty amazing, actually. Even Sean Church said these cars typically only make about 135 to the wheels, but our car apparently runs really good. It might be, we put a MagnaFlow CARB-Legal cat in to replace the Honda cat, so maybe the MagnaFlow cat has a little bit to do with it. But, you know, since the car ran so well, we decided, hey, why don't we have some fun? We didn't want to mess up any of the charm of the car. Some of the charm of the car is we could put the most crap gas in it, and it eats it just fine. Like, if we have to drain the tank of rotten gas around here out of a car, goes right in the Civic, and it's fine. We did have to like maybe fix a few things because the car has 170 something thousand miles, and we literally haven't taken any care of it. So it's time to get some TLC. So the first thing is this Megan Racing radiator. You know, normally we don't run radiators like this. We try to use tried and true motorsports level radiators. But heck, I got this thing on eBay. I think it was a couple $100 or something, and it was cheaper than even an OEM replica aftermarket radiator. I mean, this has got to be better than that. I mean, it has a pretty thick core. I think it's a 3-row core up from the stock too. It has like all aluminum tanks, and it's all TIG welded. What was funny is the stock radiator exploded on the dyno, so yeah, we had to get this. Some of the other stuff is I got replacement exhaust manifold gaskets and the belt from eBay. They're all high quality manufacturers like Mele and Gates. The stock belt has probably never been changed, and genuine Honda ones cost like crazy amounts of money, so high quality aftermarket. I figured while we're changing the radiator, we might as well change the hoses because those are probably the original hoses. So we went to HPS hoses. Now this is a pretty quality hose. We use it on a lot of our builds. It's 4-ply silicone polyester plies, which are good because polyester doesn't stretch and deteriorate. What I really like about HPS is that they have this highly impermeable rubber inner liner. Now, silicone hoses are kind of permeable to coolant and stuff, so if you run cheaper hoses, your car typically smells like coolant all the time because it's weeping through the pores of the hose, but not HPS. Really high quality stuff. HPS also comes with these hose-specific clamps. They have kind of beveled edges so they don't cut into the hose, and they're kind of like Norma clamps where the track for the worm gear isn't open, so you can make them tight. Good quality stuff. Now the stock battery is one thing where I splurged. The stock battery on the EP3 is hating life. It's spewing acid, barely starts the car. Who knows how old it is. So I got an Anti-Gravity ATX30 battery, which maybe costs more than the car's worth, but there's a reason why I did, and you know, like, why not? You know, it's my car. So what I really like about the ATX is it's super light. That's the first thing. I think this battery weighs like 8 pounds, and it's like 30 pounds lighter than the stock battery. It's not only is it lighter, but it has more power. It has 880 cranking amps. That's way more than the stock battery. The other thing is it's a lithium pouch cell type battery. Pouch cells give you the most volume. You know, like a lot of these batteries are, you know, like they have a lot of D-cell lithium batteries packed into the case. I don't think that's that efficient. I'm not a battery expert, but to me, you know, having these pouch cells is a way to cram more battery stuff into this size case. The most important feature is this restart. So like, let's say you let your car sit a while and the battery's dead. You just push this restart button and you have enough juice to start right up. Now, I run this battery in just about all my personal cars, and more than one time I had to use the restart feature, and it saved a lot of time. Like, I didn't have to put the car in the charger, just push restart and away I went. So I really like the anti-gravity battery. I personally have it on all my personal cars. I have it on race cars I work on. It's basically my favorite battery. I've never had trouble. The only thing, you know, if you're going to use an anti-gravity battery, use an anti-gravity charger on it. You put a regular lead acid charger in this battery and bad things are going to happen. So at a minimum, use a lithium battery type charger religiously. Never put a regular battery charger on it. Or best use a anti-gravity charger. They have tons of features and the price is right on those, so I always run one of those. So the battery has like motorsports type terminals, but I got anti-gravity's regular adapters, so I don't have to mess with the wiring or anything. I also got a Mele Design battery box. Now I really like this battery box. I use it on all my personal cars. You know, it's made out of strong aluminum. It holds the battery very positively. You know, they've used this for rally and race cars. Bunch of cars have even crashed really bad, to where the part of the car with the battery gets all torn up, but the battery in the case is perfectly fine. It's lightweight. Like I said, it holds the battery positively, and you know, I think if you're going to run an anti-gravity battery, you really want to run one of these boxes. It has a quick release pin, so you can just pop this out and take the battery out with no tools. And if you're using an ATX30, it has like a little window so you can push the restart button without disassembling anything. We had some fake Civic Type R fog lights in the car, and my daughter was driving it and she got hit by a tire tread that got thrown off a truck, and she broke the lights. So I got these cheapo eBay replicas. I don't know if they're any good, but they're cheap, so you know, who cares? I think they're going to fit pretty good. I don't know anything about the lighting performance. Allegedly, they're DOT approved, and they say DOT, so presumably they're street legal. I'm not making any guarantees, or these are eBay cheapos, but heck, I'm going to put them in. Plus, they're clear. The ones I had were amber, and I just think clear looks better. I don't know. One of my friends used to work for DC Sports, and he has a whole bunch of old stuff in his garage. And one of the things he had that he gave me is this DC Sport header. Now, this is a header that just replaces the stock exhaust manifold. It's a shorty header. The best thing about it is it's CARB approved, so it's California legal. Now, a lot of you guys, whenever I talked about California legal stuff, you get all mad and call me a liberal and a commie and all this stuff. I am not a commie. And then you guys talk about, well, Trump put an end to CARB and he put an end to smog. Well, Trump did not. Trump is trying, and Trump tried to do some executive orders and some other stuff. I'm not so sure, but the state of California cock-blocked him, and I don't think he's been able to get us any relief from the smog situation. So for now, be your daily driver. I don't want hassles with smog or cops pulling me over. I want everything to be legal. So I got this completely CARB-Legal, totally 50-state legal header. Like I said, it's a shorty, bolts straight in, replaces the stock exhaust manifold. I don't think this is going to give huge power because it has small runners. It does have a divider to kind of make it tri-Y. DC Sports claims about 10 horsepower, but I don't think so. But we'll test it and see. I mean, it's a pretty well-made piece. Thick tubes, CNC machine flange. It's a thick flange, but it has these scallop cuts to make it lighter. All the welding looks to be nice TIG welding. It's a pretty nice part. I don't think it's going to make huge power, but let's see. And I don't want any smog hassles or any hassles from the cops, so here we go. It has that EO sticker, so if I get pulled over, I can tell them, eat it. The other thing I wanted to do is free up the air intake. So I got this AM cold air intake. This thing is also CARB-Legal. It has the all-important CARB-Legal sticker, dry flow filter. This thing's supposed to make a few horsepower. I think AEM claims 9 or 10, but I don't think we're going to get a cumulative 20 out of these two parts. The last thing for power mods is I got a Apexy catback exhaust. Most of the typical players in the high-quality exhaust market have discontinued exhausts for this car. I think Apexy and Vita are the only ones that make an exhaust. There's some like no-name ones on eBay. I just didn't want to get one of those because I didn't want to get one and find out it doesn't fit or it rattles or it's super loud or something. I guess my thing was I didn't want it to be super loud. And I think this exhaust isn't going to be that loud. Like one, it has a pretty big resonator. Now the resonator has a perforated core inside, so that's just a straight tube with holes. That's not going to give any back pressure, and it mostly cancels out high frequency noises. It's really long, so I think it's going to be pretty effective. And the muffler is not a straight through muffler. It's a chambered muffler, and typically these are quiet. They make more back pressure, but you know, who cares? It's almost a stock motor. The can volume's pretty big, so I do think it'll silence everything pretty well. I wanted to spend a little bit more on the exhaust rather than to go to cheapo eBay, because this is a Japanese higher quality exhaust. I mean, it's probably not made in Japan. It's probably made by a high quality Taiwanese manufacturer, but it's still nice quality. Like the welds look like they're robotic TIG. Some of the welds look like they're nice MIG welds, but you know, who cares? Now this thing's made out of actual 304 stainless steel, so you know it's gonna hold this nice polish and it's not gonna turn purple or brown or anything like some of those cheaper Chinese grades of stainless. So I kind of splurged on the exhaust and the battery, but the exhaust still wasn't that expensive. I think it was $600 or something like that. You know, like I think I could have got one of those eBay specials for $300 or $400, and then Vita is about the same price. You know, it's in the $600 to $800 range too, but you know, I just wanted something that I knew was going to fit and not going to rattle, and you know, there we go. The tubing diameter is a little bit bigger than stock. All the bends are smooth mandrel bends and they're not crushed down. So you figure this thing's going to have a little bit less back pressure than stock. Obviously, the exhaust is too small and too restrictive for a full-built K motor, but you know, this is a K20A3, so it's the economy version of the K motor. So it's not the big power bad boy like the K20A. So, you know, it's fine for the K20A3. So I think all these things, if I can make 160 horsepower to the wheels, I'll be stoked. I don't think it's going to make that much, but it might. And maybe I'll get a little bit better mileage. The stuff will look cool under the hood, and hey, you know, it's a daily beater. We don't want to go too crazy, right? And MotoIQ, we're kind of known for doing more extreme builds, but hey, we do regular stuff too. So let's go put this stuff on and see what happens. So we installed our DC Sports CARB-Legal header, our AEM cold air intake that's also CARB legal, and our Apex-I catback exhaust. Driving around, the car felt a lot quicker. The exhaust was great, no drone, and it's hardly even louder than stock. You can barely tell. The car felt really good, but we had to see for ourselves exactly how much better that was. So we went to Church Automotive Testing to dyno test the car with all the stuff, and man, were we surprised. The car made 177 horsepower and 153 foot-pounds of torque. Now that's 22 more foot-pounds and 33 more horsepower than it did stock, and that's pretty incredible. It totally transformed the car. It's a lot more fun to drive. The mileage is about the same, about 27 miles per gallon, even though we're driving it a lot harder because, well, it's fun. And the car is responsive, like springy, and it's really transformed the car. It's fun to drive now. And best of all, it'll still like crappy gas, and it's still not a problem to smog. So the first part of bringing Project EP3 back is done. Totally legal mods to the engine. Now we're going to go through and try to fix some of the bump steer, clean things up, and we'll be back. So if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Go to MotoIQ.com. Check out our years and years of technical articles. If you want us to do something with your car, click on the garage services link up on top, fill out the form, and we'll get back to you. So until next time, I know you can't wait to see what we do with this piece of junk, but it's getting better, and now it's like a fun piece of junk to drive.